And welcome everybody to a special episode tonight of The Fact Is. We're your hosts, Nafe Moses.
And I'm Ryan Mays.
And I'm Stu Mowbray.
And tonight we do have a special guest. So we started this new thing where we're trying to connect with people out in our community, make sure that we can get people's voices out here, especially when they're in their own expertise, and be able to help you all with what we do here, try to provide facts and the truth for everybody around. So without further ado, Anna, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Yes.
That's a good way to do this. So, I'm Anna Johns.
Oh, now they do.
All right, sorry about that. We had to reset a quick mic, making sure that's working. So now I'll let it jump over to Anna. So please go ahead.
Round two.
Still no.
That was working.
Oh, it's working? Okay.
No, we're good.
So my name is Anna Johns, obviously located in Virginia. I graduated from James Madison University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in psychology with distinction, magna cum laude. So I also am a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for 5 years. After that, I got my nutrition cert. So I'm also a nutrition coach and a corrective exercise specialist. All of these certs I have through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, also known as NASM. And I have worked in 2 gyms in my area, one of them for 2 years, and the one I'm at now, I've been there for a year and a half, and I'm at the Centera Wellness Center currently.
So explain to me, would you say you would be qualified to talk about like nutrition, dietitian, somebody who would be able to kind of give like a meal plan in that sense as well?
Yeah, so no, the one thing that I'm really stern about in my profession is like not crossing professional boundaries.
Okay.
So like I'm a nutrition coach. I'm not a dietitian. Dietitians have to get a bachelor's degree, sometimes a master's degree. They go through very extensive training with food, like food science.
Okay.
I have a little bit of obviously food science background because NASM goes really in depth with food. So I'm allowed to give nutrition advice, basic nutrition 101. I give food advice, but I don't do meal plans, and I am glad I don't do meal plans because no one wants to eat what I eat every single day, I promise you. But no, I don't do meal plans because usually that's for people who have like medical conditions. That's what dietitians do. But no, I am qualified to talk about anything and all things food.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, that was just kind of what I wanted to clear up there because like I said, we being a personal trainer, obviously you're allowed to help people with their workout routines, kind of give them how to isolate certain body parts to be able to increase their muscle, yada, yada, so on and so forth. But just the nutrition side was a little confusing for me. So I was curious.
Also, something I do want to say before we really dive into anything. Anna is here on her own behalf tonight. She's not here representing any business or any entity or anything like that. So the views and everything that you're going to see from her or hear from her tonight are going to be hers. So she's not, like I said, you're not here on representation for a business or anything tonight, right?
I am not.
Just make sure we get the clear.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that to make sure. Yeah, so anything she talks about, like obviously nobody's sponsored, nobody's got anything going on here. We're just trying to give you all the best advice we possibly can and bring out the truth and some facts. So with that being said, gentlemen, how's your week been? I mean, first off, Ryan, we just got to talk about this awesome getup you got going on.
Hold up. For those of you who can't see.
Yeah.
Bang.
And we got cookies.
And he made cookies because he's Santa Claus, and he's got himself a nice little hat there. So gotta appreciate that. Love to get up.
It's the season.
It's the season. It is crazy that Christmas is actually on Monday for anybody who forgot, because I did.
Oh, is it on Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't feel like Christmas.
It's
You know
right
the crazy
around the
part? It's
corner.
on the 25th.
Thank
Stuart,
you,
how are
Ryan.
you doing?
Doing good, man. I'm excited for a good conversation tonight.
All right, fantastic. Well, if you all are ready, we have 2 articles that I'd like to jump into, and each one will be kind of talking about where America really ranks health-wise, and then also how mental health can also affect your physical health. So we only got 2 articles simply for the fact of more discussion tonight to be able to obviously give Anna and everybody else a chance to talk. And for anybody who is live, please feel free to ask questions because obviously what's the best way of putting this? The nutrition field, or really just the health field in general, was a very complex and hard thing to. If anybody's walked into a GNC, with the amount of supplements and everything that I'm just saying, with the amount of supplements, it is very hard to navigate. It's hard to know what they all do.
Of information.
Yes, it's very oversaturated. I love the way you put that.
But also very vague. Like, I feel like they're like, oh yeah, you do this and that and you're good. Yeah. It's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, wait, so explain how that works. I thought there's like this whole
like chemistry thing here.
All right, cool. Well, let's jump into this.
As I eat a cookie.
You eat a cookie.
Look at those muscles.
Let's talk first off about where our health ranks here in the U.S. So many people find it hard to believe the U.S. performs poorly on most measures of health compared to other high-income countries, but the truth is, study after study supports the same 2 conclusions. The U.S. spends more on healthcare, but has the worst health outcomes than comparable countries around the globe. This holds true across age and income groups as well. Within the U.S., there are acceptable disparities in health by race and ethnic groups, country by country and state by state. So whether you measure health spending on a per capita basis or as a percentage of gross domestic product, the U.S. spends more than 2 times the average of comparable countries. So this is a little bit dated. It's around the 2014 when this article came out, which just scares me because it's only gotten worse after COVID.
What really scares me is that's almost 10 years ago now.
And that's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, college is like no articles that are older than 10 years old. So you got
just right there. So the 2014 Commonwealth Fund report for the 5th time in 10 years ranked the U.S. dead last against comparable countries. That was in measures such as quality of care, access to care, equity, and healthy lives. 2011 National Research Council study found the U.S. trailed other high-income countries in life expectancy and other measures of good health. More analysis by the NRC and the Institute of Medicine in 2013 found it's not just low-income and minority groups diving to the trend. It's true across all ages and incomes. In the U.S., even if you are white, high-income, well-educated, and have good insurance, you appear to be in worse health than your peers in other developed countries. So U.S. ranks 34th in life expectancy at birth. A couple of other things that we have here. So the Institute of Medicine looked deeply into the U.S. health performance for 16 of the most fairly comparable high-income countries. The study found this. Shorter lives. So over the past 25 years, the U.S. life expectancy has grown, but at a lower rate than other countries. Bad birth outcomes. We have the highest rates of infant mortality, low birth weight, women dying due to complications of pregnancy and childbirth, and children less likely to live to age 5. Ooh. More injuries and homicides, deaths from motor vehicle crashes, non-transportation injuries, and violence happen at much higher rates. Heart disease, the U.S. rate for Ischemic. Thank you. Heart disease is the 2nd highest. Adults over the age of 50 are more likely to develop and die from cardiovascular disease. Obesity and diabetes. For decades, the U.S. had high obesity rates across all age groups. The American adults have high rates of diabetes. Chronic lung disease. Lung disease is more common and associated with a higher risk of death. Disability. Older U.S. adults report a higher prevalence of arthritis and limits to their daily activities. In adolescent pregnancy and sexually transmitted disease, our youth have the highest rate of pregnancy and are more likely to acquire sexually transmitted diseases, which I actually know a statistic from the local college. 1 out of every 3 females has a STD.
I thought you said AIDS, bro.
But HIV and AIDS, we have the 2nd highest prevalence of HIV infection and highest incidence of AIDS. And drug-related deaths, we lose more years of life to alcohol and other drugs, even when deaths from drunk driving are excluded. In fact, the President's 2014 National Drug Control Strategy noted overdose deaths now surpass homicides and car crash deaths.
Makes me sad.
So there's that. That's how the U.S. ranks health-wise. Dean comes in with a comment, where can I get some Tren? Love you, Dean. Appreciate you being here tonight. But yeah, so it...
Call me later, Dean.
I mean, this is extremely sad to see where our health rankings are labeled right now, where we're at and how we're compared to other countries. What do you all think? And this is just open table discussion. Where do you think it's coming from? How do you think it's affecting everybody?
I think it's sad because I feel like most of the things that were on that list have been brought upon that list in some way, shape, or form by Big Pharma. Like if you look at what a lot of those things are, drug-related deaths, you think that's all marijuana and cocaine?
No.
Heck no. I bet you a lot of that is opiates. I bet a lot of it is like, what's the other one? Benzos.
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of it is like just people, taking these psychological drugs and not, knowing what, or overdosing on those and then going crazy
the past,
or
3
whatever.
years has been fentanyl.
Yeah, fentanyl. Like, yes, cocaine does take people out, and marijuana has actually never killed anybody. I don't think they're from an overdose or anything like that.
Not recorded.
But yeah, that drug related death, it said take out drunk driving accidents, and then what do you have? You have Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Just killing people off. And then the other thing is like heart related diseases and things like that. How much of this health related crisis that we're going through right now is actually Big Pharma stemmed? Because we're in a society that thrives on crisis, that thrives on bad situations, so that they can try to put forth a solution for those bad situations. And that solution is, here, take a pill for it and pay us lots of money.
Yeah.
What do you think, Anna?
And be dependent on it and keep coming back.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about that stuff, is you get on it and you never get off.
Yeah, I mean, I see, obviously I got into fitness for mental health reasons. We can get into that a little bit later, but I think the hardest part is people become so sick, whether it's physical or mental, and they go to these doctors genuinely looking for a solution. And maybe they've exhausted all options, right? The exercise, the food, the therapy, whatever it is that's, holistic in nature. And they go to these doctors and they really, really trust them to help them figure out like, hey, I need just a little extra help with this bump maybe I'm going through. And then they end up completely dependent. And not only dependent, I mean, they become so desperate that they will just take anything without asking questions. I think that's the worst part too. They don't ask questions. Like, there are good doctors out there. I have met them. I have some of them have saved my life. Therapists, same thing. But I think what America lacks is discernment. They don't know how to make, they don't know how to question things. They don't want to question things. They just want that solution so bad. And I get that. But in a country that's so powerful and has access to so many freaking resources, but is also extremely money driven. No, if everyone was well, they wouldn't make any money. I mean, like Ryan was saying, like pharma, like if we had the cure for cancer, if we had, we have all the things for obesity. We'll get into that too. But like, if everyone was well, and that's what we wanted, was this utopia of everyone being happy, healthy, and just the American dream, right? Then all the money flow would stop for the big companies. And so that's just not what they want.
Where I can actually throw in also a documentary, very, very informational documentary. It's called Painkiller on Netflix for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's about the OxyContin addiction and overdose and everything. The huge epidemic, and how literally it was pushed out by doctors because they were making money doing it.
So much. They were making money hand over fist on it.
They lied about it all. So that's a very good documentary. Highly suggest everybody goes and checks that out. And then I also believe, if I'm not mistaken, Pete Berg. I want to say it was Pete Berg who was on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about it as well. It was the creator of the documentary. Forgive me for the name. I blanked a little bit there. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful documentary. Everybody check that out. But Stu, also want to hear from you what you got, what you're thinking about all this.
Yeah, but you guys covered a lot. But I'll just say, if you're going to go to a doctor, don't be afraid to question what they're saying. Don't be afraid to question what the mainstream health organization is saying, etc. And I know it's hard to have these conversations because each individual has their own health situation. So you can't just say one thing and it just apply to everybody else. So, but just kind of a broad statement, take care of your health, because it can affect you in every aspect of your life, physically, obviously, and mentally. And don't be afraid to question things that come out from these government stated politicians and government employed health officials. Don't be afraid to question the narrative.
Yeah, and it's it's not good. it's not good to believe that other people are going to want what's best for your health. You have to want what's best for yourself. So don't feel like anybody's coming to save you because you have to save yourself.
Man, if anybody believes that somebody else wants the best thing for their health, I challenge you to walk into a gym and see people in there who are just absolutely shredded. You're like, man, eat a cup of cake. Like, what are you doing? Get out of here. Like, I mean, I don't know anybody who walks into some place and sees people who are in much better shape than them, and they're like, man, I hope that person does good. And everybody says, man, eat a cookie.
Yeah.
Like, eat a cheeseburger.
Enjoy this. Enjoy this. Just treat yourself.
So if you think that, like, everybody out there is looking out for your best interest, man, hey, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona I'd like to sell you. So anyhow, the other thing is this. Anna touched on a good point there. She was like, the cure for cancer, and if we had all these things, there is some evidence that the cure for cancer was actually found back in the 70s.
Yes.
A man testified in front of Congress and said that he had the cure for cancer. Mysteriously died.
Do you also know that's population control, right? Because again, if we live, our life expectancy is huge. So if everyone's healthy and lives longer.
Yeah, but at the same time, we were actually talking about this last week. I don't think that the world's overpopulated. Like, if you zoom out and you look at the world from a 250,000 mile out view, right? The Earth is huge, and if you look at where all the lights are at night, it's not a lot of the landmass that's actually covered. You have these major centers, right? But that's what we were talking about. Like, will technology actually get us to a place one day where we can spread out because of things like 3D printing or like desalination of water? Like, if we learn how to desalinate water without like a ton of resources going into it, like, all of a sudden everybody on the earth has water, drinking water, if you can figure out how to get it into a cup.
It was a few months ago, I believe, we touched up on a topic where there's been studies coming out actually talking about where we're on the downward trend of our population, and we're actually starting to lose people. So we like are overpopulated in a sense where you have a lot of cities that just have way too many people. Yeah, but in the overall like condition of our health, we're actually losing people.
I think average age in China right now is like 50 years old, and they had such stringent baby laws.
Yes, I know.
So they're having a huge problem in replacement rate. The United States, actually, we just fell below the replacement. Like, what is the healthy replacement rate? Just last year or the year before, and now like the U.S. is like, oh crap, we gotta get our replacement rate up.
Because people like me aren't having kids. Like, I'm 27. My mom had my sister at 24, and it's like, you're behind. And it's like the number one question: when are you gonna have kids? I'm like, why do I like? There's just so many people who are like waiting for other reasons, but also like, if you can't tell with the inflated times, like I mean, there's some families that my dad and I have to ask ourselves every day, like, how are they surviving right now with house, like feeding multiple kids? You would know, Ryan.
Dude, when you see a family like walk out with like 10 kids, you're like, bruh,
that's a lot of kids.
Like, I know what the price of bread and milk and eggs are right now.
No joke.
Like if you got 3 dozen eggs right now, you're kind of a millionaire.
So it looks like China's actually median age is 39, and the U.S. is right behind them at 38.1.
I thought China was higher.
That's what it said with the median age. I looked up average age, but that's what I mean. I don't know if that's
median and average is basically
the same thing. Yeah,
so. I thought they were higher. I thought that they were in the 50s because there was a guy that was on, was it Rogan's podcast? He was talking. It was a geopolitical guy. He's a geopolitical analyst. He was on Rogan's podcast, and he was talking about how, looking at the numbers, by like 2033 or something like that, China's going to be in a real bad way.
I can imagine.
Well, that's what it was. It was military. It wasn't their actual age of their population. It was their military age.
Like Ukraine averaging, what did we say?
Yeah, because by 2033, their average age of the military, or their average age, is going to be in the high 40s.
Right.
So now all their standing military is basically like not useful.
Yeah, because we were talking about that with Ukraine and essentially why they were losing that war. But I digress on that because we're talking about world health right now. But
yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Took us into a completely different topic.
Well, I mean,
I'm bad for that.
Still...
I apologize. I go a million miles an hour.
But yeah, so just kind of back to like the world health. The biggest things I think people can really focus on, obviously, is what you put into your body. what kind of foods you're eating. I think that is one of it basically is the most important thing, I would argue, because what you fuel your body is what you're going to get out of it, right? So if you're putting processed foods, you're putting sugar in there, it's not natural sugar, not fruits, but processed sugars, simple carbs, fries and cakes and things of that nature, you're not going to be getting out what you necessarily could be getting out with your body. So, and that's the other problem too. Everybody's different.
Let's
right?
ask the expert.
Yeah, that's I'm
so
interested.
You make blanket statements over
so
here.
Actually, yes, this is a great question because so everybody has a different diet. You hear of keto, you hear of mass amounts of protein,
carnivore.
You hear carb loading, you hear
it's getting
carnivore.
bigger now, yeah.
Okay, there are so many different diet plans you can follow now. Everybody argues everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there is a singular best plan, or do you think? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
So I have quite the dichotomy when it comes to diet because I grew up in a very sugar-infested environment. My parents didn't cook. I didn't know how to cook. A lot of people who've been around me know, like, I would not make a great housewife because I just don't like cooking. I hate it. Like, I'm a quick to the point. Food is fuel for me. I like eating food, but to me, it is literally a chore. It's something that I do strictly for performance, for feeling better. I don't do it because I don't emotional eat anymore. Again, another topic for another time. But
right.
I emotional eat all the time.
I still do sometimes. I mean, I'm a woman. I have
in front of me right now.
I'm fighting them so bad. So without obviously mentioning people, I mean, I have some people who are very carnivore right now that I know, like strictly meat, right? And like the new studies are coming out, like red meat used to be demonized, and now it's like all you need to do is eat meat. Wipe out the carbs, like, so they want no bread, no starches. You just eat meat. That's it. And not even cheese counts. So like, we're talking just strictly eat. And then veganism, I feel like maybe it's just my algorithm on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, but that train I feel like I don't hear much about anymore.
Right.
In my cert, I obviously learned vegans have to work a lot harder to get the nutrients that they need,
especially
because they eat incomplete proteins.
Yeah.
And to all the people out there, if anything you take from me, please hear me when I say this. I don't care if you want to argue your canine teeth and we're supposed to eat plants and this and that and those. The only food source on this planet that has all your essential amino acids, we're talking the aminos that you need to live and function, comes from animal products. So if you don't eat animal products, you are going to have to supplement all of that with, like I said, vegans, it's like beans. You need this bean with this bean to get this much protein. With meat, it's 25, 45 grams of protein. You're done. It has everything you need in it. So when people want to argue don't eat meat, okay, they have their reasons.
Hey, Stu, can you clip that? I got to show that to my wife. She's always like, Ryan, you need to eat your vegetables. You need to get that. I'm like,
I do like vegetables.
I don't need none of that. Just give me some steak. Give me some chicken. Give me some pork.
You couldn't pay me to give up eggs.
I'm a big meat eater myself. Now I like to balance it, of course, with some veggies and other things like that. I mean, I also balance with some brown rice. I stay away from white rice personally.
Interesting, because I got away from brown rice and went to white because they strip all of the vitamins out of the brown, and that's why I go for white now. And brown makes it causes more digestional distress for some people.
Interesting. I thought it was the other way around.
I haven't done brown in forever because when I did brown rice, it was because everything's whole wheat, right?
Right.
White rice all the way, baby.
Interesting, because I heard it was the other way around, or at least from my understanding.
There's a whole brand science. Like, they take the brand and they extract it, and then you get this. Like, again, like my cert was like, here's how they make starch, and I'm like, I don't.
Okay. Interesting.
No, I mean it's. For me, it's gonna be whatever works for you. There is no optimum diet. Like everybody says it. The diet that works for you is the best diet, and it is. I know people, like I said, who eat completely clean. Like, they only go to the family co-op. They will only get stuff that is absolutely raw, unprocessed. And I'm sure celebrities do that. That's how they live. As long as they do, they look as amazing as they do. Like, everything is clean, and I get it. But I guess for my sport, my job is to get protein. And like, I had a protein waffle today, which there's definitely not a whole lot of healthy stuff in that pancake mix. I had eggs, I had spinach, I had cheese, but then I had some sugar-free syrup. And let me tell you, that sugar-free syrup is chemically not great. But I'm not having my waffle without syrup. And if I have to...
So sugar-free, what was in it to make it sweet? Like, was it sucralose?
Things like that. But like all that stuff isn't good for you. Like, right, that's gonna trick your body into thinking, like, they have studies like crazy about how the brain responds, like even how sucralose was made. Like sucralose lights up your brain the same way normal sugar does, but you're not, like, you don't get the caloric effect, right?
And it also doesn't trigger the insulin, right?
It doesn't. No. So, but this is where I'm like, I'm not gonna live a long time. I'm not gonna live forever. So
with my high level income and advances in modern medicine,
I'm not gonna sit here and go, this isn't absolutely clean. I mean, I've done maple syrup too, because I'm like, it comes from a tree, it's natural, but also it's like 45 grams of carbs and like 60 grams of sugar, and like with my anxiousness, I don't need all that.
Bouncing off the walls, right?
Yeah.
So, quick question: when it comes to red meat, you said red meat has been demonized in the past.
Yes.
And I've always heard that, like, red meat, what is it? Raises your cholesterol.
Yes, LDLs
it's bad for your blood pressure.
Yeah.
It's bad for. So, talk to us a little bit on that and how that it may or may not be true.
I mean, LDL, right? So we have our HDL and we have our LDL. Everyone's told LDL is bad for you. HDL is what you want more of. But overall,
what do those two things stand for? LDL and HDL.
God. You're calling me out on this one. It's like I'd have to look it up. It's been a long time. So I'm also a medical.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're good.
Just for people who are out there watching, I just want to make sure that we.
So while Nath looks it up, it's just two different types of like good cholesterol. So like HDL is considered good cholesterol, LDL is considered bad cholesterol. But the thing is, LDL you can't have like zero of. It does exist a little bit in your body. They're just like, overall it's just about balance. Like, again, social media, as Stu was saying, is like the messages are repeated over and over and over and over, and then you have contradictory messages and you're like, okay, but which one is true? And I've just come to the point, because I've done this for 10 years and I've yo-yoed, I've done the trial and error, and I've found my yin and yang,
your balance.
That, I mean, everyone's body is different. And again, I grew up not eating healthy at all, and I've never been a clean eater, but obviously I have achieved a lot of health and wellness goals. And I'm practically textbook healthy when I go to the doctor. Like, everything is fine, and I eat meat. Like, so when it comes to red meat, I don't know where that came from, other than, it's really bad for your health stats.
Yeah.
But I also follow a gentleman on Instagram. I'm sure if he hears this, he knows I'm talking about him, but he's carnivore, and we're talking, he eats the liver, the heart, like, we're talking raw. And he just went and got a very extensive test, and all of those
numbers were great, right?
Great. Perfect. I mean, like,
have you ever heard of Jordan Peterson?
I have. I like that man.
So his daughter Michaela, she had a ton of issues. I want to say, what's the stomach one where it flares up every once in a while? No. The other one, the one that's really bad. Shoot, it'll hit me in a sec. Crohn's disease. So she had Crohn's. She had all these other stuff. And they couldn't figure it out, and like, she couldn't keep food down for the longest kind of time, and she was like withering away into nothing. Like, look her up, Michaela Peterson. Her story is actually really, really cool. And then it was a doctor. I think it was, what was his name? D'Agostino. I want to say Dominic D'Agostino. That's the name that's coming to mind. I could be completely wrong on that. But anyway, she went to this doctor, and basically he told her, try this carnivore diet. She's tried it, and then all of a sudden, all of her issues started going away. Like, the Crohn's is basically gone. So, like, she's actually able to function as a human now, where she's not like bedridden, sick, and all this other stuff. And like, all of a sudden, she's actually putting on weight. She's healthy. She's doing like great things. And now she's like a very popular podcaster, because her dad, Jordan Peterson, tours the world. And she's like contributing to his success and everything as well. And she lives, dies, breathes carnivore diet.
Yeah. So LDL, low density lipoprotein, and then high density lipoprotein.
I knew it was lipo.
Liv also commented on here. Appreciate that, Liv. So that's what that was. And then you said stomach, and I thought gout, and that has to do with your joints, and I'm a dumbass, so I'm just gonna leave that at that. But anyways, so yeah, let's I kind of wanted to touch up a little bit on the whole sugar thing there. So there's been this big debate right now, because they're talking about the sugar replacements, right? All your replacements for raw cane sugar are actually what's causing a lot of
cancers, right?
I believe it's more along the lines of anxiety and things of that nature. It's actually developing and hurting your mental health, and it's not good for you because it's not digesting in your body appropriately compared to raw cane sugar. So if you did have to choose raw cane sugar versus substitute, like what is it called?
Aspartame, sucralose,
any of that. What would you prefer to take out of both of those?
I wish I knew what the documentary was on Netflix where it actually showed, like I said, the studies of like how they came up with those sugar replacements and how they justified. Again, it lights up the same parts of your brain, but again, there's no physiological response, right? So it's like, well, I'm not going to get addicted because this is the same as raw sugar. And this is a tricky question because like if I go to a restaurant and I want sugar in my coffee, you got the little packets, right? And you have like the one
Splenda, Sweet and
right?
Low.
It's like, do I want the Splenda or do I want the real thing? And for some reason in moments like that, I'm like, I want the real thing. Right? But then you see my sugar-free syrup and that's not the real thing.
Is it called What the Health?
What?
For that Netflix documentary?
What the Health?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Interesting.
Like I said, this is a tricky question because I think this question would be really important for someone who has like diabetes, right? Where sugar's super important.
Right.
Mental health wise, is that what you're asking me? Because again, I was addicted to full-blown sugar. Like, and there was no substitute sugars when I was addicted. Like I was eating
corn syrup.
Yeah. So like we're talking like
bad.
I'm eating a whole box of Snickerdoodles. I'm eating birthday cake from Walmart, which has the dyes.
The oatmeal cream pie. Oh my god.
We're talking everything. And so actually, here's the best way I can explain it to you. So when I used to binge eat and I'd eat like a whole birthday cake from Walmart, obviously I'd feel like crap, to put it nicely.
Right.
But that's all fake sugar. I mean, it says sugar. Again, I don't know how much they put in it. But I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat this stuff anymore. Here's my replacement. So I go to the Mennonite stores, like Dayton Farmers Market. So I get their oatmeal pies, right? And it's not even that big. I mean, it's like this size. And again, we're talking birthday cake to an oatmeal pie. What's interesting is my insulin would spike after that oatmeal pie. My face would get red. It would get hot.
Really?
And I'd spin. And it's like, because I'm more sensitive to real sugar. So it's like I had no insulin response. At least it didn't feel like it when I ate the artificial stuff. But when you have the real thing, your body's like, we know what this is. And then my face, like I said, would just react to it. And it's not, I mean, I felt better eating the real thing. Because I just know now when I eat sugar, they're doing it on purpose to poison you. They want you hooked on it. That's their intent. I mean, the fact that they put dyes like M&Ms, like I have M&Ms at my house for Christmas, and I'm like, this has red this and green that and blue that,
Red
and
40,
that is,
blue.
and
What is
that
it?
is
Blue
cancer
70,
101.
yellow 70.
Yeah, and like they're totally okay giving that to you. So I guess for me is.
Have you seen what those dyes are actually linked to? Like what?
Cancers, I thought.
No, not even just cancers, bro. Like red 40 is actually linked to ADHD.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And is like a huge causer. Like one of the, I don't know the words I'm looking for here. I'm not an expert at this, but I know that it's been traced. Like red 40 to ADHD is like a very common factor.
Right.
Blue is linked to like sleep depravity or something like that. There's all like if you look into those dyes are messing people up, and it's kind of scary actually because we got kids, you know, so it's like yeah, you want those M&Ms? Slap those out of your hands. Like,
yeah. And then, so going back on the whole sugar thing, actually, so I apologize. Not only did I read articles about mental health, but actually, right now they're finding studies where you have a 9% higher risk of cardiovascular problems and 18% greater risk of stroke with these artificial sugars, is what I'm getting out of a couple studies, the Mayo Clinic, Harvard University, National Institute of Health, a couple things like that. So there's a couple studies out there now. So for anybody who's not aware, just maybe do some research on some artificial sweeteners, how it could increase your risk of strokes, heart disease, things of that nature, and just keep educated on it. And just limit your sugar overall, right? Sugar is not necessarily completely needed in your diet. Like if you want good sugar, I would say probably come from fruits, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's probably where you'd want to get most of your sugars. But that's
those
just
fruits
my thought.
dipped in chocolate.
Yeah, true. Dark chocolate at that. Dark chocolate's the best. Love dark chocolate.
Bro, I'm a milk chocolate guy. I'm sorry.
I love dark chocolate.
He likes that cacao.
Stu, do you need to say anything before I do this? Do you have any input back there?
I was just going to say, if your body, I mean, obviously I'm no health expert, but if your body is used to high fructose corn syrup and all the artificial sugars and sweeteners, and you transition into natural sugar, your body is going to process it the same way. It's not going to know how to process sugar the right way. So you're kind of doing yourself harm as well. Would you say that's true, Anna?
Yes, I do. I think what was like really hard for me to listen to or just like not interrupt with Nafe was we can sit here and say, this is going to cause cardiovascular this is going to increase your risk for this. But here's the thing. It's just like, as a personal trainer, I see this with clients. They aren't going to see the risk until it's in their face.
Fair enough.
I mean, again, this is coming from someone who was slowly getting overweight, right? It's like, I don't see it as a problem right now. And then you just wake up one day and you've gained 30, 40 pounds and now it's a problem.
They're more reactive,
yeah,
not
and those
proactive.
That's me right now. I'm like, dang, man, where'd this come from?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I know families who don't feed their kids sugar at all, like at all. They're like, okay, if you're going to eat sugar, you can. But like, I also see these same kids that I know are not allowed to have these reds, these blues, these greens, and like all these artificial sugars. And they still have this really strong addiction to it. Like they'll do anything to get their hands on it.
Interesting.
So that's where, when it comes to food, I have to really, like if there's anything I preach more about with food is you can't restrict. You can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, like.
Just don't put it in the house.
Moderate.
Not even moderate. Honestly, I try to think, I just see it as one good decision at a time because I mean, like yesterday, like I told you, I had like 4 molasses cookies and ate a lot of candy and like people are thinking you're a personal trainer, you can't eat that stuff. I'm like, the beauty of health is that you can reverse it if you just wake up the next day or even just the next decision an hour from now, you make a better choice. Like it's just when you do it for so long and you're like, okay, I mean, it's think of it this way. Athletes have an off season for a reason. If they competed year round, they would not be optimal to compete. They would not be as great as they are. They have to take a break. Right. And some people, like whether it's exercise or diet or whatever, you have to take a break.
Well, I mean, the human body in general, think about it. You have to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. So if your body doesn't recharge, and that's something I feel like a lot of people do kind of lose sight of, is like you have these cycles that your body goes through. And if you don't allow yourself to go through those cycles, then you're really going to jack yourself up later down the road.
Yeah, no, I have to tell my clients, your progress isn't made in the gym. It's actually made the day, like
the night after, right?
If I'm off from the gym, every decision I make is going to be the most important decision I make because that's when I'm healing. So I'm sore and it's like, you better eat all your protein today, girl, because tomorrow you're not going to have that muscle. Like it's not going to repair. It's not going to grow. You're not going to get what you want because you're not recovering. Like, and people, I know clients,
right there. I like
one of my clients, she works out with me once a week, but she's doing 3 to 4 days a week of these really intense classes. And she's 68 years old and she's an ox. Like, but then she's like, you know, she's kind of sore places and she has this hip thing. And I'm like, because there is such thing as overtraining, just like overeating and undereating. Like this is where you can get into like people fat shame, but they also skinny shame. Like you can never make anybody happy. Like you have to.
Yeah, you can't go to either extreme. You have to learn how to bring everything in.
And this country's all about extremes.
Oh, absolutely.
1,000% about extremes. Like
sure.
you cannot be I mean, look at fitness. Fitness went from I want to look healthy and be healthy to like who has the biggest butt. I'm just saying, like,
I just want to have striations in my jaw.
Yeah, I mean, my sport's very superficial, but at the same time, like you can't take away someone's physique, like that hard work. Like you can't buy that. You can't trick that. I mean, unless you're on like trainer, steroids or whatever, but you can't fake it. Like if you're not recovering, like I was telling Ryan, if you're not doing those things, like it's just not going to show. So like that's a positive, is looking good. I think some people assume that my sport is all just about looking good, but all my clients do come to me and they're like, I'm not confident or comfortable in my body, and the byproduct is they feel better, which means they make better choices, and then the looks kind of come with it. And I'm sorry, it's not just about looking good. Do you want to feel good?
Right.
And that kind of is the whole thing. And yeah, I mean, I was 35, 40 pounds overweight. And then I just woke up one day. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And that was all on me. And I had to reverse childhood habits of just eating nothing but sugar. And no one could help me.
And that's like 15 to 16 years of built up habits that you have to reverse.
When you're
a
kid,
yeah.
That's how I learned to soothe. Like there was no, I'm upset.
Coca-Cola was my soothe.
Eggo waffles with butter in every corner with bad, syrup. Like
Aunt Jemima.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, but I couldn't remember what it was called. Yeah, zebra cakes, Nutter Butters. Like I just look back on my younger self and I'm like, dang, you didn't eat sugar so much that you were just addicted and you needed it, but also like I come from a white, suburban, middle class, I'm just going to say it, well-off family, and yet I felt like I was starved. Like I'd never ate real food. Like there were days where I ate peanut butter sandwiches every day for a week. Like, and I just, and peanut butter crackers. Like I was just not a very nutrient supercharged kid. And so when it came to sports, I was like, I'm going to make up for it with exercise. But it's the 80-20 rule, like you said, Nate. Like 80% is diet, 20% is exercise. And I mean, I work my tail off in the gym, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not putting into your body what it needs.
Good nutrients.
And what you need is determined by you, ultimately. I mean, I could sit here and talk about carnivore, vegan, and, all those dairy-free and this and that and those. But, like, in the end, it like there's kind of like what Stu talked about earlier with, like, questioning physicians and stuff. Like, you know your body better. Like, they can say, I know how the heart works. I know how your lungs work. But do you know what your body feels like?
Right.
Do they know that better than you? They don't.
You're the only person who's going to know.
And it takes a lot of self-awareness. I think one thing my clients have to learn is just like, what does your body feel like when you do this? What does it feel like when you do that? And a lot of people don't pay attention to that stuff because they just want it to go away. Mm-hmm. They're like, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to do something that's going to make that go away right now. Instant gratification, instant relief, but then long term they wonder why it doesn't work.
Well, I love it. That's
so
awesome.
How do you feel? Sorry.
No, please.
How do you feel about fasting?
So I actually did that during COVID, and I don't know why I would do that during COVID because we were isolated the whole time. And like, again, my binge eating at the time had kind of slowed down, but then with isolation, it kind of came back. And I started to fast to try to counteract the binge eating, right? I was like, okay, to make myself feel better from eating my body weight in sugar, I'm going to starve myself because that's what fasting is. You're not eating. And I'm like, I'm just not going to eat until noon or 1 o'clock. And then I would just pig out like crazy. With further education, I think fasting is good for you because it lets your cells rejuvenate. Cells eat the dead cells. And like, if you just keep putting food in it, it doesn't have time to clean all that up. It's kind of like how I heard that Elon Musk he stops eating before 8 o'clock. It's not just Elon Musk. People do this. They'll stop eating at 8 o'clock because their digestive system, they want it to give it a break when they go to sleep. Otherwise, it's just going all the time. And like you said, like sleep is when you recover, right? I like fasting. I think it has a purpose. My best friend does it and she's lost a lot of weight from it. And, she knows how to eat in that eating window. I think where you mess up with fasting is if in that 8 hour, 6 hour, whatever eating window you have, if you're eating more than what you're supposed to, you're kind of backfiring on the whole reason of why you're doing it. And I don't know if anyone knows this, but like 3,500, we're talking 3,500 calories is in 1 pound. But that means you have to eat 3,500 calories over what you need to function. So if I need 2,000 calories, just to make the math easy, 2,000 calories for my heart to work, my lungs to work, my body to run, minimum, add the 3,500, that's a lot of food.
That's a lot of food.
So when people are like, how did I gain a pound or 2 pounds? You really got to think about how much food they're eating to gain that weight.
Yeah, no joke.
Because it's really hard, but at the same time, it's not. The things like, when I got sugar-free ketchup, things changed. Ketchup, like you're talking, there are things that sneak up on you calorie-wise. And like, people are like, I don't know why I'm not losing weight because you're still eating too much. And like when you look at the numbers, it's like a piggy bank. You're given this amount of money a day. Don't go over it or you're going to, this consequence is going to happen.
Yeah, Tell our Congress that.
We'll give you more.
I love intermittent fasting. I like the 8-16. That's what I do every day. I like it. I kind of.
What are your eating windows?
So I eat between about 11 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
But you probably have really good energy in the morning because I've fasted on a run and my runs are better when I fast. Like, you feel
I play basketball every morning on a fast.
And it just feels better. Like my body feels better. I digest things better. I feel like my bowels, obviously my movements, my stomach doesn't hurt. Yeah. So
what I've found, so I've been fasting for roughly 3 years now.
There you go.
And I've gone through like, I look and feel great. And then I'm like, I'm not doing it like I should. What I've found is what I break my fast with really determines what my day is going to look like. Mm-hmm. Like if I break my fast, so I used to always have this drink. It's called Suja. I don't know if you know that one.
Sounds familiar.
It's cold pressed fibrous vegetables. It's a cold press. And everything's and it's a green drink and it's got a little bit of lemon juice in it to sweeten it up. And so I used to break my fast with that and I would just drink a whole bottle. I would slam it because it tasted like crap.
That happens.
And I would slam the drink and then I would wait half hour, 45 minutes before I would eat anything. And by doing that, like holy smokes, the difference between doing that and then just like, oh, it's my eating window's up, let me eat a beef stick or something like that, you know what I mean? The difference is night and day. So I think with whatever you break your fast with, I think really has a huge bearing on how your window is going to be.
So
I love it.
That's a psychology thing, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So I work out in the morning because if I don't work out in the morning, like working out in the morning sets the tone for the rest of my day. That's the exact terminology you just used. This sets the tone for the rest of the day. Yeah, you make better decisions. Like if I have my oatmeal in the morning and then I have my eggs, which I literally have religiously had for 10 years after every workout, you tend to make better choices throughout the day. So the psychology behind that is the brain is very, fun fact, it's actually very limited when it comes to attention and decision making. It's a bottleneck. It can only do so much when it comes to decisions. When you wake up every day, you have 100% energy. The decision to even get up out of your bed or choose an outfit takes 1% of that energy away. So
I believe that now.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to like turn off the snooze or turn off the alarm? It is like the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I would rather go through like a gauntlet of like glass running through barefoot
My God.
than hit that stupid alarm and be like, all right, it's time for me to get up.
So that's why people make poorer choices though in the evening, like at night. That's why they tend to reach for
'cause it
sugar and
wears
stuff because they
down on
have
you.
no more. That's what they call willpower. So
Right.
you don't have willpower at the end of the day when actually your brain is just like, we can't make any more decisions. So like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go for the quick thing. In the morning, you're more conscientious of your choices. So yeah, you saying what I choose to break my fast with makes a big difference because again, the reason I would overeat past my fast is because I'd get so hungry. That's my problem. Like the hanger that I'm like, I want all the carbs. And what does that do? Really high spike, really big drop, and then you're still hungry.
Well, I love it because this
Peaks and
is
valleys.
like a perfect transition into our second article, which actually has to do with mental health and
My
physical
favorite.
health and how it works. So
Let's do it.
let's talk about that real quick. So mental health and physical health are often seen as separate entities, but it is crucial to recognize the relationship between the two to maximize a patient's well-being. So longevity is a significant factor of mental health, with individuals with mental health challenges such as schizophrenia and depression living shorter lives compared to those without these conditions. So studies have shown that individuals with mental health conditions are less likely to seek care for their physical health, leading to increased risk of respiratory diseases, heart disease, and cancer. However, positive emotions such as optimism, life satisfaction, and happiness can also impact your longevity. So a Harvard University meta-analysis found that factors such as optimism, life satisfaction, and happiness are associated with reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, regardless of factors such as age, socioeconomic status, smoking status, or body weight. The most optimistic individuals had approximately 50% less risk of an initial cardiovascular event. On the other hand, negative emotions such as stress can also impact physical well-being. So chronic stress can wear down the body over time, while short-lived spurts of minor stress can have an impact. Negative emotions such as anger have been found to correlate with heart attacks and other physical problems that can lead to death. Physical health can significantly associate with mental health, with exercise being a major variable that contributes to mental well-being, but is often underestimated. So physical health system significantly impacts mental health well-being, but is often underestimated according to the APA. That exercise is a key factor contributing to the mental well-being, but psychologists have been slow to address it. Exercise can help alleviate anxiety, improve mood, and enhance mental health. So a study by the Economic and Social Research Council found that adolescents who lived a healthier lifestyle were happier than those who indulge in unhealthy habits. The more hours a week participants played sports, the happier they consider themselves. Physical health is an expanding horizon for counselors, and encouraging exercise can lead to improved mental health outcomes. So not only do you need to feed yourself and give yourself the proper nutrients for your body to be right, but you also have to be right mentally. Like you have to have positive thoughts. You have to stay on the positive side, because if you continue to let stress and negativity bring you down, clearly it will affect you in more ways than just your mental health. It can affect your physical health as well, and it can affect your body. I mean, I don't know if I know stress can do a huge number on your body. I mean, it can damage you like drastically. It can take years off your life. Even stress will really bring you down. So being able to find ways to manage that stress, which I know I personally have found it in the gym, playing basketball or whatever, right? I've been able to find ways to manage it. I think is a really important habit for everybody to kind of do. So Anna, I'd love to hear your take on this. Obviously, mental health, physical health, if you have any personal stories you'd like to share, how that affected you, or just in general, maybe your clients, whoever you've worked with. So love to hear something about that.
Yeah, this is where I'm just like pretty upfront because when it comes to mental health, I've got like, so kid can't get on the school bus. That's me. For years, I couldn't get on the school bus. And I just, instead of being told like by my parents, like there's nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, whatever, they gave me a benzo and they put me on the school bus. So I was on Zoloft in kindergarten and they're like, now get on the school bus and go. And I was like, and if you don't know anything about benzos, they're a sedative. Like they make you very calm, but also you're high. Okay.
Right.
And I completely depended on those to get me through a lot of stressful events. Like even as like I never got on stage, like I never performed in any concerts ever, like in elementary, middle, or high school. Like I could not physically do it. So people call that an anxiety disorder, right? So I was like, okay, I have anxiety. That's just what they label you. And then obviously the cousin of anxiety is depression, right? So then and again, we're just going to summarize this because it was so long ago at this point. Like it's just a part of my story, but it's not who I really am anymore. And then depression turns into binge eating. So we've got copious amounts of sugar. We got substance misuse. So I was drinking, I was smoking, and then it moved to self-harm. I always have to bring this up because again, physically I was working out in the gym. So I was trying to reverse the binging, the overweight by working out like a maniac. I was also learning everything fitness from lifting to nutrition to like, I was at Blue Ridge taking all these anatomy classes. I was trying to learn as much as possible. And yet still my habits were absolutely garbage. And I remember one time, and my brother knows I always bring this up. I'll never forget. He told my mom once, he said, she works out all the time, but she's still fat. And that's because I wasn't taking care of what was in my brain. And exercise, it saved my life because it gave me something to channel all of that stress, right? As Naif was saying, stress is like, people think stress, you have to be like this. That's how I always saw stress. But stress can be even like the things you just tell yourself all day long. I know a big trigger for me with binging was getting on social media and seeing these girls. And the narrative was, I'll never look like that. I'll never look like that. I'll never look like that. And that's what caused me to eat the way that I ate. So it was in my brain, right? So everything started in my brain. So how I addressed mental health was not in the gym and physical fitness, as that article said, like, exercise is good for you. Okay, but what else? Because that wasn't enough for me. So I had to journal. I had to go on walks and listen to, I listened to a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, anything that has to do with your, like, how do I undo the things I tell myself in my brain?
Right.
Yes, exercise saves lives. My clients, they come in and they initially want to lose weight and they want to be strong. And then in the end, I mean, I have clients that were terrified of working out because they're like, well, I'm a big girl. I could never do a ladder drill. I could never do a sled push. And yet my clients, like one of them's a former athlete. She played soccer and she doesn't believe that she's still that person. And then I gave her a couple things and she's realized I'm still that person. Like her confidence. Now she comes to the gym because she's like, I need this and I'm good at it. Whereas before she was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be talking to you. I didn't even weigh her because she was so uncomfortable. Like she was like, I don't want to, I was like, why are you applying for personal training when you clearly don't want to be here?
Right.
But I was like, you have the capacity to be this person that you once were. And that was enough motivation for her to come in and see like, I'm still that person. So again, exercise is beneficial for people when it comes to like the losing the weight and the stress relief, but that stuff, it's very temporary. You have to think long term. And like I've been journaling my whole life. And like when I stop journaling, I know something's not okay.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter if I go into the gym and kick my ass. Like if I'm not checking what's in my mental space.
But see, that's an awesome personal story because you went from, I mean, talking about right there, just, being addicted to the pills but you developed these healthy habits to be able to get you into the space that you're in now and be the person who you are today. So if anybody can take, good lessons from that, it's learn how to develop healthy habits to create that healthy mindset. It's not just going to come to you, and medicine's not just going to help you get there. You have to create it yourself, no matter how hard it is and how much of a grind it is, but it's ultimately what you had to do, and I'm assuming that you feel a million times better than what you ever have before, right?
yeah, at 27, I feel like I'm in my prime because I don't deal with those vices like I used to. And this is going back to the health professionals, right? Like I have those benzos still. I take them when I can't sleep, but that's like an as needed basis. Whereas before, if I had a very stressful moment or like was going through a crisis, I'd pop them like a Pez. And then like, we're talking these benzos like ruin your memory. They can cause you to like literally have amnesia and like you can go into respiratory distress and like literally die. Like, and these doctors will give them to you. Say, I have anxiety. Here's a pill. I no longer need those things because I have found replacements for them. Now, am I on a med that I take for mood? Yes, but my hope is, and I'm optimistic. This goes to the article about optimism, right? Because I know that I wasn't, when you think that you're going to be a big girl forever, and I'm just thinking of weight right now because I know there are a lot of women out there who are like, I'm never going to get back to the way that I want to be.
Right.
When you know that you can change it if you want to, anything you go through that's hard, you know, is temporary. So like right now, I'm like, I've been on these meds for a year. They help. I need them right now, but I know in the future, as I grow and learn more about myself and just get, I don't want to say more familiar with certain things in my life, but again, you learn more about yourself as you go on. You're a different person every year. I'm optimistic that I won't ever need them again.
That's an awesome story.
But you have to be comfortable knowing like, okay, I might not be where I want to be right now, but like, it's literally one day at a time. And people don't like that. They want to be there right now. And I'm like, you literally only have right now. Like you have this moment. I could literally go walk to my car right now and someone could hit me. Yeah. And people don't want to think that way. But like death is, I read it in a book yesterday. Death is your ultimate teacher. It reminds you every day. Yeah, it's the only thing that's going to.
Taxes.
Good one. Yeah, I mean.
Thanks, Congress.
It took me 3 years to lose 35 pounds. And if you're absolutely perfect, textbooks will tell you can lose a pound a week. I should have lost that weight a lot quicker if I would have known what I was doing. If I took what I knew now, then I would have lost that weight in under a year. But it took me 3. And so I'm like, my job, the reason people pay me for what I know is because I'm going to save you the time of yo-yoing and figuring out, does this work? Does that work? And we're just going to get right through all that misinformation and stuff. We're going to go straight to it. And you got to be okay with the long journey. I hate it. I'm the most impatient person on the planet.
People
but like,
want instant gratification.
But I woke up and I'm 27. I'm like, I literally thought there were times where I was literally eating that birthday cake at work. I'm talking like I hid it at my job, like under my client's bed. And when she'd go to sleep, I'd take it out and eat it. And my mom would come in and she'd go, and she'd look at it and I'd say, don't talk about it. Like I had so much shame around it. I was like, really, and I would cry. The binging was the worst because I was like, there's nothing worse than being a woman who not only can't control the way she eats, but you can't control the way it's going to make you look. And I remember there was literally, during that phase of my life, I was like, this will never end. This will never end. And now here I am. 4, 5, 6-ish years later, and it's ended. Like I don't do that anymore. And
that's
like
awesome.
This too shall pass.
Yes.
This too shall pass.
But you have to do something about it. Right. It's not going to happen if you don't make action. Like some people are like, I'm just going to pray about it, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to like.
No, you have to make the decision.
You have to make like again. I just woke up one day, and I feel like there are a lot of people who have that moment. I just woke up and said. I think I remember I woke up, I was like literally in a food coma. I had eaten like I said, a whole box of Snickerdoodles. I had drank and I had smoked myself like I just didn't even remember anything. I woke up the next day and I went, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
And so education was huge. That's what got me going. If anyone can take anything from this, the way that you're going to like change and figuring out how to navigate, you know, your health and wellness is like learning.
Educate
like that's the only thing that made me like it was I was learning it and applying it. It's harder now for me because I'm not learning as much anymore because I've kind of been in it for a while.
Right.
And I mean, I still try out new things. I still research and whatnot, but like you have to have a reason.
And it's just applying it every single day.
Let me ask you a question. Is knowledge power?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
No.
Schoolhouse Rock.
No. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power.
Okay. Semantics.
Yeah.
So knowledge is like is the vehicle, right? But if you don't apply that knowledge, then you don't have anything. Like I could be the smartest person in the world, but if I don't apply what I know, then it's not going to do anything for me, and I'm going to die in a bed somewhere.
Right.
I'm not an expert in terms of physical health or physical well-being, or you know what you're talking about. But what I am an expert in is mental fortitude. I went through a time in my life where I was doing a lot of things you're saying, but I was on a different scale. Like I was trying to run away from life. And so I was just looking for anything and everything that could potentially take me out of where I was. And so I woke up one day and I was like, no, I need to stand up to all these things. And so what I started doing is I started to educate myself on this upstairs, because I found out pretty quick that these right here, these are worth about, if you're really good at something, they're worth about $54 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
This up here there is no limit on what that's worth.
Right.
Limitless.
So like you think about somebody like Elon Musk, how much do you think that Elon can do with his hands? Probably not much.
Not nearly as much as he's done with his mind.
But what he's done with his mind is created some of the biggest, most successful companies in the world, and not even just companies. He's completely changed the way we go to space. And I say all that to get back to the point of, if you don't build this, and if you don't nurture this, and if you don't exercise this, then it doesn't matter. Like you were saying, it doesn't matter what you do to your body or what you do to your physical realm, because your mental realm is not going to be in a place that it needs to be able to take advantage of those things.
Yeah, every backside I've ever had is because, again, those mental health habits that I developed. Again, habits, Atomic Habits. Best book I've ever read.
Oh,
also
that's
totally based on psychology, and the man is just a writer, and I'm like, why are you stealing all of our psych ideas? Like, we knew this stuff. You just put it into a really great book.
Right.
Have you read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey?
Yes.
That's a great book.
I mean, it's habits. Like, I'm talking like, you don't want that candy, put it up on a really high shelf, so by the time you get to the shelf and you go to reach for it, you have that second to make a different decision and not do it.
I shouldn't be doing
those
this.
are things people don't think about, because I feel like people are just floating through their day and they're not paying attention. Like, I get it. I'm an overthinker and no one wants to go through their day like nitpicking, but like.
Do you meditate? I know you said you journal, so that's.
I feel like I meditate when I go for walks, right? And I listen to music or I listen to podcasts, but meditating is very hard for me. It's painful. I'm working on it, being like, I've also just finished a book called Untethered Soul, most life-changing book I've ever read, and I'm learning to like stay open. That's like what they talk about is like, just stay open, don't close, because that's like where all my problems, and I feel like a lot of people's problems come from, is they close off. And I guess that's my form of meditation, is being aware of when those things happen. But no, meditating.
So I meditate every single morning. And what I do when I meditate is I do it a little different than, everybody does their own thing, but when I meditate, what I do is I sit down and I get into like an uncomfortable position almost.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So where I'm completely like in a tight space. And then what I do is I start to relax different parts of my body, and I try to focus on what I'm doing to relax, right? And then if I relax a part of my body, but it stays in a state of tension, I know that there's a stress there. And then I start to focus on, okay, why is that stress there? And so then it takes me back into my head. Okay, what is it that's stressing me out? And so what I do is I confront my stress in my meditation. I try to face it up, because if I can face it up, there's no problem that's too big for me.
That's right.
But if I don't, then I run away from the problem, and then it becomes this big scary thing that's chasing me.
Well, and the body holds on to it. When my clients, when I get them to breathing, well, we're not going to get into that tangent,
so
but like
wonderful.
that's something I have to teach in my job since working at Centerra. That's something I've learned about, and I hate it because again, you have to slow down, and people don't want to do that. And my clients will lay on their back, and we're just going to go breathe. And when they start, I have to literally put my hands on their shoulders,
Push their shoulders
because they're
down.
up here, and like they aren't aware. So for them to breathe, and I have to go like this, like chill. And that's after their workout. So like you think they'd be de-stressed, but they're still like
Still so tense.
exercise is a stressor. It's a eustress. So there's distress and there's a eustress. Eustress is positive stress, but it's still a stressor. Your body's inflamed. That's why stretching is kind of my meditation after a workout, right? You're just sitting there and holding positions and breathing and trying to get everything though.
Yoga is that fire. I don't care what anybody says.
Fire.
Bro, yoga is definitely that fire. If you don't do yoga, like do yourself a favor and just go show up and try to do a little yoga one time.
It's very hard.
It's so much fun though.
It is fun.
I've done yoga. I've always wanted to do the hot yoga.
Oh, dude,
I did that. It was hard.
I want to do it
Hot
so
yoga.
bad.
It's so hot.
That is okay. So hot yoga and yoga, they're two totally different things. Hot yoga is not fun.
I want to do it.
Hot yoga is like getting your face punched in.
I did it once
times.
at Valley, which was Gold's then, and I remember it was like 90 to 100 degrees.
Oh,
and
it's
like,
so terrible.
Like if you've ever
Hard
sat
to
in a
breathe.
sauna is hot when you're in it, but if you've ever moved in a sauna, it gets hotter.
Yeah, I do a
Just reminded me
sauna
of
20 minutes a
from,
day.
or
Oh,
not
yeah.
Patrick, but Squidward from
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
Oh god. Yeah, heat exposure. Well, I guess temperature exposures are also a really good thing for the mental health, I believe, as well. If I'm not
Your fight or flight.
mistaken, there, yeah, because I like to do at least 20 minutes of a sauna every day, and then I eventually I want to get into ice baths.
Trying to get into that cold plunge,
I
bro?
did the cold showers.
I do. I do a cold shower a minute every day, and then I do the sauna 20 minutes a day. So
cold showers are easy until you have to turn.
It's
It's like it's on my back, and then I got to turn
all of
around.
a sudden,
and I'm like, oh.
it's
I've gotten
tough.
myself up to 5-minute cold showers, like just chilling in the coldest that I can get it. I'm like, but I don't know why. Like, so in this whole like journey of like building up my mental fortitude, I can turn my body off. Like I can turn pain off. I can turn like feeling off almost. It's weird. Like just for example, on Friday I dislocated my finger and I just popped it right back in, and then played 2 games of basketball after that.
Do you know what I tell my clients that is called?
What? Adrenaline?
I tell them, like, I'm going to use, like, the wall sit, for example, because they tend to struggle the most with wall sits. Like,
because wall sits suck.
They do suck, but they're great for your knees. They're good for your knees. I call it, this is mine, trademark. No one else has ever said this, I don't think. The pain cave. I always tell them, go in it. Go in it. It's like a tunnel, right? It's dark. There's loud noises. It's painful. There's like breezes. You can't see the light at the end, but go in it and just embrace it so you get comfortable with it. Kind of like you said, like, I can just turn the pain off. I also think as like dark as this may sound, I feel like people who have gone through really tough things can make better sense of physical pain. Like
I have broken my leg in half.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But like the cold is nothing for you then when you do that. And so like when I go in the gym, people are like, that really hurts. How can you do that? Like, I mean, I've coached people who have never been in a gym in their life ever. And like when they feel that pain, they can't.
Yeah, they don't know what to do.
But for me, I'm like, this is nothing compared to what I've got in my brain.
Yeah, right.
Nate, did you play sports in high school?
For like my senior year, yeah.
Stu, did you play sports? Have y'all ever done wall sits?
Yeah.
Yes.
I try to do them every morning before basketball.
Oh my God, my basketball coach in high school, he'd make the whole team do a wall sit, and then he would walk across us.
Yeah.
And you weren't allowed to get out of your stance until he was done walking across the team. It sucked.
That's tough.
I always tried to place myself in the middle. So I was like, okay, I'm good and burned up by the time he gets to me, but then it's like just a relief when he lets off. So I'm like, oh, thank God he's gone.
That's hilarious. Stu, I want to hear your thoughts on mental fortitude and how maybe you've developed some habits, or you know, just your thought on the whole conversation in general, mental and physical health, how it's combined.
Yeah, the only thing I can speak on is what I do, not what other people do. But Anna alluded to waking up and working out, so that's what I force myself to do every morning, because if you can wake up and make the conscious decision of doing something hard, then the rest of the day is easy.
Right.
And with food, you know, eating a donut versus having a yogurt or something, it takes discipline, and discipline just doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill. And you know, you guys were talking about this earlier, and I was thinking that long term, you know, you don't just work out once and get results. You have to work out years to get results. And yeah, like the fast food and the sugar, all of those things are such short-term decisions, and you're not even thinking long-term. And even when you're in the gym and you're, you know, I want a nice body, like you guys were talking about. But yeah, what about if you want to be a mom or a dad and you don't want to be old and decrepit? Like, you want to be able to keep up with your kids.
Right.
So that's also thinking long term. And yeah, it's just over this past year, health, I really have, you know, taken accountability of my health and tried to learn discipline. And you don't know how bad you felt until you feel good.
Yeah, that's true.
Amen.
Damn, Stu.
It's true.
Right there. Preach it.
That's true.
Hallelujah.
When people revert back to their old habits, they always come to me and they're like my clients, they'll go, yeah, I kind of went off the deep end this weekend, and then they'll come in for their session. They're like, I feel like absolute garbage. I don't miss that. I like the elimination diet. Once you take it out and you reintroduce it, your body's like, yo,
get that out of me.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
So yeah,
I notice that with my eating habits. Like if I eat very healthy, I feel great, feel energized. If I start eating anything unhealthy, my body just kind of wrecks on me, and it sucks. Because like I said, I've tried to eliminate sugar to like literally zero to the best I possibly can. Except for obviously like fruits. I try to get most, if not all, my sugars from fruits. So that's where I try to sit at with it personally, and it's what's worked for me. Because eliminating the chocolate, because I love some chocolate, bro. I love chocolate. Being able to eliminate it has really helped me.
You do say chocolate funny, man. You're like chocolate. I like that chocolate.
I like that chocolate.
And there's just power in doing the thing that's hard. Like I said earlier, wake up. Like you, Ryan, it's hard. I want to hit that snooze button, but I eventually get my butt up and I get up to the gym and I work out. And even you're not going to feel like doing certain things each day, but you force yourself. That's the discipline. You can't count on motivation. You got to count on discipline. I don't feel like it today. I'm tired today, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And you have to train your brain to do that. You have years of lifelong bad habits. It takes a while to reverse all that, but with hard work and discipline, it's definitely achievable.
Choose your hard, right? I mean, being skinny and being fat are both hard, so choose your hard, right? Or I shouldn't even say that.
Being able to pick up your grandkids.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to choose your hard, choose your lifestyle, right? Because ultimately, no matter what path you go down, it's going to be a difficult path regardless. Just learning how to, again, whether it's create a mental fortitude or develop a good eating regimes and being able to get into the gym, finding that physical health, it's just all a lot of. It's all hard, so choose which hard you want and do whatever you'd like. And then Dean, this is perfect because I was just about to transition.
Did you find your trend?
How does sleep factor into recovery from exercise, eating, and habits?
We talked about that, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. But so like Huberman is a huge influence for me whenever it comes to like your sleep. I've heard him talk about it. I've heard how important it is. Now some people will say they are better off of
6 hours
5 to 6 hours of sleep.
So I'm one of those people.
See? Yeah. So let me hear your thoughts on this.
You can feel that it's good for you, but inside your body is not happy. Because let me give you a. We're just.
See, because I feel that when I go 8 hours, right? I wake up and I feel exhausted.
Really?
And if I go, like I've even tried it. So I've gone a month where I've gotten 8 hours of sleep every single night, right? And every single day I wake up and I'm like,
do you check what you do before?
Yeah. I was making sure that I was like not doing any screen times at least an hour and a half before bed. I was meditating before bed. I was getting myself into a good place and then going to bed and sleeping for 8 hours. Felt like crap every single day when I woke up. I go 5.5, and I am energized throughout the entire day. I feel better. I wake up and I'm able to get up right out of bed. I'm able to sustain my energy levels throughout the day, and I just overall feel better with like 5.5.
That's probably also because of the things you are doing before bed. Because think about it, people are probably needing 8 to 10. Sometimes even I've seen people with 11 hours because they're not offloading their system like you are before bed. Like, I mean, the blue light is absolutely terrible. Like, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, it tricks your circadian rhythm into thinking it's still daytime. And then the meditation, you're offloading all that stress, where there are people like me or like my poor dad, for example. We're talking like he just turned 59. He's had 59 years of not a normal sleep schedule, and it is eating him alive.
Really?
But this man has a brain that won't cut off. And if he can learn to cut it off, meditation, anything of any, like the blue light especially, he's really bad about that. I'm sure if he could nail both of those habits down, he would get a decent night's sleep and it would do a world of a difference for him. Whereas for you, because you've already offloaded, you might not need those extra hours. I don't know how to like give a good example of this other than use, okay, we're going to talk about drugs. Alcohol is a drug. Okay, so we can talk about alcohol.
It's one of the most dangerous drugs too.
Facts. So but I'm also going to use, I'm going to use alcohol and marijuana because I see people always say like alcohol makes me fall asleep. Okay. Marijuana makes people fall asleep. People are like, oh, it makes me sleep better. Right. But people will go to sleep and they're like, I slept the whole night. I think I got my 8 hours, whatever. Research has shown, not just for alcohol, but especially marijuana, it ruins your REM sleep. Like you don't go into REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And like you think because you got your 8 hours, like whatever, but like unless you're attached to electrodes, you got the fancy watches, you're not going to know how much REM you got, and you will feel it. It will happen. Like, and it's not just energy levels. I mean, I know when I was sleep deprived, my face looked very droopy, like your skin complexion gets bad, like you start to ache more. Like there are other symptoms of sleep deprivation than just I'm tired.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Like, I mean, your digestive system, right? Like it doesn't take much for your body to be like, we don't like this. So I mean, if 5 works, I mean, I wouldn't argue with you with that though, because I would just say if it works for you, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And again, you have those habits.
I start my fast at 8, and I usually don't go to bed until about 11.
Okay.
So I've
said
already
8 p.m. you start.
8 p.m. is when
That's
I start.
also why, because your body's like, yo,
So
we
I'm
have
already
no work
processing.
to do.
I do my meditation. I get myself into a place, and then I'm asleep from 11 to about 4:30.
When I learned that, especially when I was in university, and again, psych major, so we're learning how the brain processes things. Pretty much like you can study at night, and your brain will spend all night long while you're asleep encoding everything that you learned. That's why people are like, you need to get good sleep, because that's how your brain is going to actually encode what you've learned is in your sleep.
Yeah, it's your reticular activating system,
That's
the RAS.
right. I like this, man.
I told you, I'm mental fortitude. I've done a lot of research on my brain.
Yeah. So if the brain is capable of doing all that while you're asleep, the amount of recovery, I mean, I don't know why. If people haven't seen Twilight, this is going to sound really dumb. You know, like when Bella's turning into a vampire and like everything's getting like recovered, and she's all skin and bones and she's dead. I mean, like, and then she turns into a vampire and everything like fills up, her eyes get red, her hair gets rejuvenated, and she just looks better. That's what your body's like doing in its sleep, is like, we're going to repair things. You're going to be stronger, fitter, faster, well off the next day. But it's just, I truly just believe that people are not doing any of the habits that you've even listed before bed. I mean, people are just like, I want to go to bed, I'm exhausted, and then they'll lay there and they'll just wait.
Man, what's on TikTok?
They say it takes an average of 7 minutes for someone to fall asleep, but I know like the average is definitely way more than that. Like people are not taking 7 minutes. I mean, it takes me 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, it takes me a little bit to fall
We
asleep.
don't have healthy habits.
I bet you for both of you, if you did a breathing exercise before you like laid down, you'd be asleep in 5 minutes.
I know people can fall asleep
I like
in
to
30
read.
seconds.
I like to read before I go to sleep.
Yes.
No,
So,
I'm saying like if you did like a breathing regimen, like if you just did like what I used to do is I would count myself up. I'd start at 5, right? And I'd inhale for 5 seconds, and then I'd exhale, and I'd do that 5 times. And then the next I would inhale for 6 seconds and then do that 5 times. And then I would inhale for 7 seconds and exhale for 7 seconds. And I would do 3 sets
It's
of
like
that.
counting sheep almost.
Pretty much. And then I would lay down. And then I'd lay down in the bed. First of all, your lungs feel like they're like this big.
Right.
So good for them.
And then you're like, it's morning. What happened?
What the heck? That's awesome.
My alarm's going off.
So obviously, I mean, just out of that discussion, you know, sleep is a huge factor, Dean, from what it sounds like, and being able to get, I would say, anywhere between that 7 to 8 or whatever works for you, right? Ultimately, is what's going to help you with your, especially your muscle recovery, if I'm not mistaken, right?
In hierarchy, how it is listed, this is my list, but I also feel like I've again read this somewhere, so let me just see if I get this right. In hierarchy, it's stress. Address it first. Stress,
Right.
1, sleep, food, movement. That's it.
Interesting.
So like, I mean,
That's your 1, 2, 3, 4.
yeah, in order of what's most important, right? Like it is truly stress, and then sleep is number 1. I mean, think about it. You spend, if we're just thinking like,
You
what
spend
people
a third
say,
of your life.
yeah,
Have
like
you
think
lived to
about
be-
8 hours. Like if you ever watch somebody sleep and it's like you maybe watch them for like 5 minutes, they're just laying there, and you're like, and you
This
do
is
that
boring.
for 8 hours
That's
straight.
wild. Wild to think
Here's a
about.
crazy stat for you. If you live to be 80 years old, you've slept 29 years of your life.
Oh my god.
Don't even want to think
So
about
again,
that.
it is
That
number
sucks.
2.
So here's the thing. I loathe the necessity of sleep.
I do too.
I hate it because it puts even the most powerful of people on their back.
Yep.
I hate it. I hate it. I
Also
hate it. I
limits what you
hate
can
it.
do.
yeah.
If I didn't have to sleep, bro, sign me up.
Yes.
Because I don't want to spend 30 years of my life, hopefully, sleeping.
Hmm.
I think that's such a waste of time. If I can get back that 30 years of my life, like how many more experiences could I have with my
How
kids?
much more productive?
How much more
yeah.
production could I have? How much more successful could I be? How much, better could I be? But then I'm like, my body doesn't work that way, so I have to respect that.
But like
and
if you
it
fed a
sucks.
dog. Yeah. It's like if you feed a dog, right? It's like I have to take care of my dog. I have to feed it. Your sleep is you taking care of you, unfortunately. If
Yeah.
you see your body as the machine that it is, which it is I looked at cadavers in grad school, and I was deathly afraid to look at cadavers. Okay. I've never seen a deceased body, and this is me sticking my hands in a cadaver. And when you see, I feel like everyone should have to.
Well,
If you can see inside your body, you would be amazed at not only how it is like designed, but just what it is capable of doing. And you won't want to do harmful things to it when, and that's not just to live long. Like you just don't want to. I remember this is like the last thing I'll say on this topic, but I remember Netflix released this thing called, it was a post-mortem documentary. It's the first time they ever had permission to videotape an autopsy.
Like an autopsy?
So
And like release it to public.
Yeah, and
I know
you watched it.
Yeah, because they videotape autopsies all the time, don't they? For like crime cases and things.
That's right. So they couldn't. So this was a woman who was obese. And we're saying not overweight. There's a difference between overweight and obese. And I'm sure people know that. This woman was obese. And the point of the documentary, I'll never forget watching it, was to show you post-mortem what this woman's body looked like when they opened her up. And I mean, when they opened her, all that I remember seeing is like when they opened her midsection, it was, like, you know what insulation looks like in a house?
Oh, yeah.
Yellow, thick insulation. Like you couldn't even see her organs.
Fiberglass.
Yeah, you couldn't see her organs. Like that is fat that is suffocating and squashing her organs. Like I remember they took like, again, I think it was her liver out, and it was like purple because it was being crushed by fat. And I'm like, so when people are out here, and this is where I'm going to get a little fiery, when people are out here promoting big bodies, no one said you're not beautiful. No one is saying you're not beautiful. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But what we are saying is your body does not like it.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy. I don't know any of these people who are 400, 600 pounds and they do
kicked off.
and they end up dying eventually. And they act so surprised. And I'm like, if you don't want to live a long life, that's fine. If you don't want to be skinny, that's fine. But just understand that from the basis of health, not from a doctor, just look at your body. You are not supposed to be that big.
But see, I like that take though, because and I know you're like, oh, watch it, like kind of jokingly, right? But like, people shouldn't be so offended when you talk about the health of their body versus the beauty of their body. We're not, like you said, we're not talking about your beauty.
I'm not saying you're ugly.
Yeah, we're just talking about you're not healthy. You're making your organs work twice, 3 times as hard, depending on how much fat you have there. It's not by any means healthy. And I want to...
That's like saying smokers.
Yeah.
Like if you're smoking cigarettes, then you're not doing the right thing for your body. It's not offensive to say that.
No, but it's just you shouldn't.
Do you ever see... The only reason I have to bring up the beauty thing with women is because this is social media. And again, a majority of my audience is women. Do you ever see men getting fat shamed in the fitness industry?
Maybe not in the fitness industry,
in
but
terms
I
of when it
definitely
comes to
see
physiques,
it on social media.
When I'm talking about physiques, like women, our number one concern is beauty. That is our superpower. Look at the Kardashians. It's like if you cannot prevent aging, like I fear being 30 because I know I've been made to believe my value is going down. Like the second I see wrinkles, I'm like, my value is decreasing because for women, the only thing that we are taught to care about is how we look.
That's unfortunately society in general, which sucks.
Yeah, because when you talk about, well, we're promoting these big bodies, I'm saying that the reason I have to preface the whole we're not saying you're not beautiful is it's sad that I have to talk about it from that perspective because that's how important it is to care about how you look, when in the end it's like, I'm not talking about your looks, I'm talking about your health.
Right.
Because if I show you a picture of what I looked like, and again, numbers are numbers, but 165 pounds at 5'6" was overweight. I was big. And if you look at the pictures of me, I was miserable, but people on social media all the time, if I take what I looked like at my best and what I looked like at my worst, people will say, well, I preferred the picture of you before. Okay, you preferred it, and they're trying to make it about looks, but you looked great before.
And I prefer to drop kick you.
And they go, well, I prefer the way you looked before. Okay, but I didn't like how I felt. I was unhealthy, and that's not just because of weight. I was internally miserable. My own mom, after I went through a breakup and some transitions with school and stuff, I mean, she told me literally 2 days ago when she saw my face after not seeing me for a while, she goes, you just don't look as swollen and inflamed as you used to, because that's what your body looks like when it's not happy and it's stressed and it's unhealthy. It has nothing to do with just looks. Your body emulates what you put in and consume. And when we mean consume, we're not talking food. We're talking the media, what you read, what you like, who you talk to. Your diet is what you consume. When people say diet, I say it's not just food. It is literally what you consume.
Your diet's your life, basically. Yeah. Like, what does your life consist of? But hey, we actually have a comment here from Dean. Yeah, he wanted to
Yeah. So Dean's asking, Anna, what are your thoughts on taking creatine to build muscle? If you're trying to build muscle but also burn fat, should you focus on one before the other?
So I just started taking creatine again. I take Concrete. That's such a funny word.
I've taken Concrete before.
Comes in a. I think the reason why I like it is because it's in pill form. I've had powder creatine. It is horrid.
Yeah,
10
I
out
don't
of 10.
like it.
Don't do it. So what I learned when I was studying my certifications was there's only 3 supplements that are actually proven to be beneficial at all. Protein powder, creatine, and beta-alanine. Beta-alanine is the stuff that makes you tingle. That's in pre-workouts that everyone likes. You can get beta-alanine by itself.
I hate it.
Yes.
Without all the other stuff.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, I took nitric oxide today, and everyone's like, they're thinking that's the stuff that kills you, but what it does is puts oxygen into your muscles, which creates more blood, and then it gives you more endurance, more strength, right? I'm taking creatine because creatine's found in meat. So some people...
Pork is your biggest one, I believe.
Yeah.
I thought chicken was the biggest one.
I think it's pork.
Is it pork?
And steak. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, steak.
I love steak.
I just had someone recently tell me that, like, when I told him I was doing creatine again, he goes, well, I just had my doctor tell me that we don't need all those subs. But here's the thing. If you are, as this question is posing, if you're working out, creatine is the best thing you can take because it gives you a lot of energy, but also, again, your muscles are made of it, so it likes it. I know that's such a, like, weird thing to say. The only thing with creatine is... I think I take HCl because creatine gives you water weight.
That's what I was going to say.
It gives you water weight. It makes you puff up. And most men are like, I want to be puffed up, but it ends up being water.
I was going to ask, isn't there 2 different types of creatine
there's
you can
monohydrate and there's the
hydrochlorate or something like that. I believe that's the good one.
HCl is the one I have.
Yes.
And so, but here's the thing about creatine. So you don't have to creatine load. I know people used to do that, and that's more for the monohydrate. Which the 2 things you have to be careful with is 1, you have to drink a lot of water. It's really hard on your kidneys if you don't. So like when I take it, and if I don't drink 10 liters or like, I think that's what it said, 10 ounces, 10 liters, there's a huge difference between those 2.
Yeah. There's a gargantuan difference
I'm not
between
a math girl, so you can, it's 10 something. I just know it's a lot of water. And if I don't, your heart rate goes up a good bit because again, you need that water for the creatine. But
well, I mean, it would have to be like, I mean, you think about ounces, there's what, 8 ounces in a cup? And if you drink 10 cups, that's 80 ounces. That's all like 3/4 of a gallon almost.
I do drink a gallon of water a day. I know people think that's wild, but like...
I just spend a lot of time in...
Yeah. Like, how's your skin so clear? Water.
He's got a half gallon over
there. Creatine is actually meant for like short bursts of exercise though. So like I took it today for legs because I knew I was going to need it because legs is really intense. It's a long workout and it's really strenuous. But I usually take creatine with sprinting. Like anything that's like high intervals, it's good for spurts. That's what research says. It's like, okay, creatine is good for lifting. You can take it every workout, but I am trying to be balanced. I don't want too much creatine in my body because I can't see what's going on in there. So I take it for sprints and I take it for leg workouts. So 10 out of 10 recommend creatine to everybody if you are a healthy adult who doesn't have a lot of medical things going on. And then his question was about...
Yeah, so in his question he asked, should you focus on one before the other? So it sounds like...
build muscle or burn fat first?
Yeah.
If somebody feels like they're overweight and they're trying to burn and build at the same time, should they focus on burning first?
No.
Or should they focus on just trying to do a balance of the 2?
Building muscle helps burn fat, correct?
So the more muscle that you have, the more you burn doing nothing. So again, this is from my experience. The reason why I've been able to
Just need to go do squats.
Keep the muscle I have, stay the weight that I have, and stay as lean as I have for almost 10 years is because I've worked really hard to build such a strong muscular foundation in the beginning. So now I'm working out 3 days a week versus 6 and yet maintaining because muscle, like I said, is it burns when you do nothing. So like I cannot go to the gym and I'm still burning as much as I would with a workout because I have muscle. So I don't care if you're 300 pounds or in the 100 pounds. When you come to me, and I look at these women and they're like, but I want to burn fat. So they're thinking, I want to run on a treadmill. No, I was a cardio bunny. It doesn't work. Build muscle. That's what you're going to do. Actually, whether you like it or not. Like,
if you're trying to burn fat, aren't you better off instead of running on a treadmill at like walking at an incline at a lower speed?
That's what I do. So I don't make my clients run. I'm like, you're going to walk on an incline and then we're going to lift the rest of the time. The only cardio that spares your muscle, and so catabolic is like it eats your muscle, right? So distance runners, if you've ever looked at distance runners,
that's why they get so thin.
They're thin. Sprinters have
big legs, big glutes, very
think
muscular.
about Usain Bolt, like just a massive human being.
Sprinting is muscle sparing. So anyone that wants to do cardio, I'm like, if you want to keep your muscle and get lean at the same time, do sprints. And people like sprints because it's 15 seconds and it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you're done. Distance runners are like, I ran 6 miles today and my shins hurt. And yet I'm just getting really, really skinny. And I'm like, if that's what you want, that's what you want. But I want to keep my knees and my ankles. And I'm not, distance running is just, it doesn't do well for my physique. So what I would say to him is, you're going to burn fat building muscle. There is no, like Stu said when he says, do you want to bulk or cut? Only really, at least when I look at my bodybuilding sport, only really, really knowledgeable, I'm not saying like I'm not one of those people, it's just I never wanted to go that far, are able to cut and bulk at the same time because they have people that are regulating their food down to the T and their programs are like down to the variable of weight, reps, rest time, like, and bulking and cutting at the same time will take forever. Just build muscle. Right. Make it simple. Like I'm at the point even with food, I'm like, just eat a lot of protein.
Yeah. So what would you say? Would you say like, okay, build 10 pounds of muscle and then focus on losing 10 pounds of fat?
I don't even weigh the muscle. I just go by looks and also strength. Like one of my clients, she doesn't think she's lost any weight in a year. And yet she, in terms of her metrics of her performance and her strength, it has gone up every single session. She's never slowed down once.
See, and that's the tough thing because, you know, our doctors all go based off of BMI, but
the worst statistic of all time. It's height and weight.
Yeah, your biggest bodybuilders, your most muscular people can be considered obese because it's height and weight. It's not going based off the amount of muscle compared to the amount of fat you have.
Have you ever had a DEXA scan? They're the most expensive scan you can pay for, but that's what tells you how much muscle you have on you, and it'll tell you where it's on you. And that's why when people say, my BMI said I'm overweight. Yeah, I said I was overweight too. And when you looked at me, I wasn't. So,
because if I'm not mistaken, if it's like men can be anywhere within that like 7 to like 18% body fat range, and then women is anywhere between like 10 to 25% range or something like that, I believe.
From a woman's perspective, my BMI, I think right now is like a 23, 24. At 25, 26, I'm considered overweight, but my body fat percentage is 19. Most women's body fat's over 20.
Yeah,
so I'm
exactly.
I'm really close BMI wise to being overweight. Like we're talking like 2 points away. But
we're
like,
not worried about BMI. I'm not.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you is, that's what people do though. They go to the doctor and they're like, I see my BMI, I'm this close. Like I could freak out and go, I am 2 like increments away from being overweight. But then when I look at the other statistics, I'm like, chill out.
Yeah, you're fine.
But without knowing those things, people go to the doctor and they're like, oh.
Exactly. And then the doctors prescribe them pills, and then Big Pharma starts making more money.
The other thing is, it's like, you know, there's a huge difference between somebody who's 160 pounds of fat and 160 pounds of more muscle. Like, your body can lean out and you look better with more muscle than what you would with the fat.
People who have muscle when they swim, fun fact, and I learned this, I'm not going to say how, but like, people with muscle sink, they can stay at the bottom of the pool as long as they want, but people who have a higher body fat percentage will float. They can't go to the bottom of the pool. Like they can't get themselves to the bottom of the pool because that fat floats. Muscle's dense, and so people with more muscle can just sink to the bottom.
I like that. Well, that's also awesome little stat there. I like that.
Observation.
On this point, fat is also, like you said, it's not as dense, so there's more air that can get caught in there, and so that air is what adds buoyancy to you.
We're allowed to have some fat, right? Like again, I keep referencing women because they have such a hard time. Like I have that thing called the pooch, right? Like no matter how lean I get, like I have that little part at the bottom of your stomach that you can squeeze, but like that's because women are made to like have babies.
I was gonna say, isn't it because of your ovaries?
It's like the kangaroo pouch.
It is
it's there for the baby.
For the babies, but like there is a healthy amount of fat that we need insulation wise. I know this is gonna sound again very horrid, but like one of my worst nightmares is being stabbed. Like, I know that's such out of pocket thing to say, but like, so I always think about if someone
that just took a left turn here, Anna.
These are the things I have to think about. Okay, if someone were to stab you, would you want to be a flat skeleton, or would you like a little extra cushion to protect your organs? Like your organs.
You pissed off in your life that you're worried about being stabbed?
I watch too many horror movies.
But
what I'm saying is though there is a healthy amount of fat because your organs need to be protected, and so I have grown to be okay with what I have. Also for men and women out there, and I'm going to say 85%, even though, again, I've read that statistic somewhere, but it could be overblown. Your body is so heavily based on genetics. It is. Like, there are some people who work out like harder than another person, and how you look is based on genes. Like,
yeah.
My dad is like literally 60, and he can work out for a week and drink his protein and creatine and lift, and he gets jacked. And then he'll stop and he goes right back to the way he was. And like my brothers and I are the same way, but we're built the same. Like, you look at us from the back, and like the wide hips, the love handles, like that stuff's genetic. Like, no matter what I do, I can change the way I look, but like innately, you look like your parents, unless you go against it and you I mean,
that's why I'm so excited about my kids. my wife's 6 foot tall. I'm 6'4", like 6'5". Like,
she's 6 foot. Good for her.
Oh, dude.
No heels.
And we're both athletes. And she's the shortest person in her family. Her dad's 6'6", her mom's 6'2", her sister's 6'2", her brother's 7'1". And like, on my side, in my prime, I was an athletic freak. Like, my little boy, NBA baby,
my kids are gonna be
retirement plan. Let's go.
I love it. Oh man! All right. Well, this has been a fantastic discussion.
Real quick before you take us off, Anna. You're talking all this stuff about creatine. Have you seen the video on Instagram with that bodybuilder? And he's like, "So you want to get big?" He's like, "Put a banana in." Add a little creatine.
Oh god! Oh my god! Every other ingredient.
He's like, creatine. Add some creatine. He's like, stop being a bitch.
Add some creatine.
I have not seen that video.
Oh, I'm gonna find it before you leave.
I support it. Like I said, be gentle on the creatine, but yes, it is.
And then add one more.
It's good for you. I have felt better since taking it. I feel like I've really cut up since taking it, just because again it fuels your workouts. You definitely feel a difference. And yeah, again, I just drink coffee, creatine. I do the pump thing now just because it helps me get to the gym. I'm like, if I take this, I'm gonna feel great when I get there. Like, it's my motivation. But like, in the end, it's protein powder, creatine, some type of caffeine. That's the fourth supplement actually that's best. Caffeine is like it's a, what do they call it?
Stimulant?
Androgenic is the word or whatever. Like, it's pretty much a performance enhancing
drug.
Like, caffeine is like the #1 most addictive drug in the United States. So if you're going to be addicted to it,
I actually disagree. I think sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That now, yes. But in terms of caffeine, like, almost everybody consumes it. And if you're going to consume it, go exercise after. Like, right when I'm done with my coffee, my butt's going to the gym.
I get that. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anna, again, for the valuable information. Just like Dean said there, thank you, fellas. Welcome. And Anna, for a great episode. Learned some valuable facts. Really appreciate you being here, Dean, and everybody who took their time out to watch, comment, talk about things with us, and have this discussion. So with all that being said, Anna, I'm gonna let you go ahead and say anything else you want to right before we get close to ending this episode.
All I'm gonna say is, because I haven't, again, been on social media as much, because, been busy soul searching and whatnot. And so this was really nice to come on here and remember what I love and why I got into what I got into. Yeah. I just knew I found something I loved and I wanted to be the best at it. I'm not the best, but I want to be the best at it, or at least help as many people as I can. And all I would say is, if anybody has any questions, or wants to pick my brain, always willing to do that. I appreciate the questions that people ask, because anyone that asks us a question is someone that cares and they want to, try something new. And I really respect people who are just trying to learn.
You want to give any social media handles for anybody who wants to reach out to you?
Anna_JX4. For Instagram. That's my main platform. I don't use Facebook as much. Okay. Instagram's where I am most of the time. And I post a lot of stuff on my story. So if you guys want to keep up with all of that, you can. And again, always welcome to slide in the DMs and ask some questions.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Hold on, Nif. I've got to ask, because I know that there is a segment of our viewership that wants to know the answer to this question.
I'm so scared.
How do you feel about aliens?
Oh, God. I
hadn't brought it up in all this whole episode. I was waiting for it. I had to set up.
Am I genuinely supposed to answer this question?
Yes, yeah, you have to. It's a Ryan thing. You think they're real? Yes or no?
This is hard because I am a spiritual person, and Earth means life, and I feel like Earth was created to only have life. But because I also look up at the sky every night and see
how big that
how
picture
big
is up
it
there.
is, I'm like, there's something out there. There's something.
She's seen some stuff.
I've seen some wild stars before.
And those stars happen to just move in ways that they're not supposed to,
I'm
and
not
all of a
gonna say
sudden,
the word alien. I'm gonna
aliens.
say there's something. Yeah.
She believes in aliens.
oh, she's saying it without saying it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Don't worry, we're already all on the list. We have an American flag. So.
Okay.
So real quick, just want to say thank you to everyone again who came out tonight. Want you all to help us out with something. We want you all to like, follow, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our following social media pages. We have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
The Royal Rumble.
Twitch. Those are all of our social media pages, so please make sure you all follow us on all of those. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps us get out there and be able to influence more people with episodes like this and tomorrow night's episode where we'll be talking a lot about politics as well. So please make sure you all are following us on all of that, because here the fact is, we want you to share this with people you love, but we also want you to share this with people you disagree with, because ultimately we all have more in common than what we don't. So real quick, want to go through my quick shout outs. Thank you to all military personnel, active duty and retired, law enforcement, fire and rescue, doctors, nurses, paramedics, hospital staff, farmers, those in American manufacturing. Bring back American manufacturing, please. Those in social work who are helping take care of U.S. citizens, especially those with mental health issues. That is incredible. And last but not least, ethical congressional representatives.
They don't exist.
Probably don't exist.
I say it every week, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face.
Thank you to those like Anna who help us with getting our health right and help us making sure that we're on the path to be our best self. So thank you
And keeping
to
the discussion
all those,
open. Not
and keeping
everything
it
I say
open.
might not be true today, might not even be true now. So don't take everything I say as Bible. I'm always open to perspective and
do your research.
That's right.
I love it.
That's what we say. Do your own research. Don't trust anybody.
Gentlemen,
do your own
yourself.
research.
Closing thoughts. Any thoughts here? Stu?
I've got some closing thoughts. What do you think, Stu?
Just kidding.
You want to go first? You go first.
Me go?
Yeah.
Don't like it.
All right. Well, that was a good episode. Thank you, Anna, for all your knowledge. And my big takeaway from this whole thing is do your own research. And if I'm not a health expert, but if I could give you some advice that's worked for me over the past year is get control over your sleep, get control over your exercise. I believe lifting weights is the best form of exercise. And eat clean, eat whole foods, cut out the processed junk, and try to learn some discipline and see how you feel. Because if you don't have, control over those things, what do you have control over in your life?
I love
What
it.
a good finisher.
Ryan?
So, I've come to a couple conclusions in this episode.
I love it.
Eat right, think right, sleep right, aliens.
I knew you would throw that in
then
there.
you got it. Like, you do those 4 things. 1, you won't be surprised when it happens because they're coming. But the other 3 things will keep you happy, healthy, and wealthy
Until they come.
until they come.
Until they come.
Please
Well,
take me
hey,
first.
hey,
And
might
because
be
you're
nice.
happy, healthy, and wealthy, you'll be able to defend yourself when they get here.
That is right.
Let's go.
They might be nice. We don't know this. We don't know
Even if
this.
they are,
They
we will
think
be
we
pitted
are
against
dumb
them.
as a bag of rocks.
Oh, I believe
I'm
we're
telling
ants.
you.
If they can make it to us, then we ain't nothing to them.
Well, thank you all so much for coming out to this special episode again where we connected with
She
a
said
member of
they.
our
That means
community.
she believes.
Anna, thank you so much for everything.
You're
Thank you for being
welcome.
here tonight. Please make sure you all find her on her Instagram at Anna_JX4. Was that what it was?
Yep, and it's
Okay.
public now. As terrifying as that is,
Yeah.
but it's public, so you don't have to request me. So just
Awesome.
come and find me
So-
or stalk me, whatever.
Go. Oh, don't do that. So yeah, feel free to go follow her. Thank you again for coming, and we will see you all tomorrow for episode 150. So with
150.
that being said, we'll see you all tomorrow, 8 p.m. East.